It's a nice, warm, windy day, not as hot as it has been. We're glad to be in Defiance County on the Zeedyk farm, and we're just east of Hicksville. Joining me, Roger Zeedyk, and Mike Zeedyk, and we'll get to all that in just a minute. Roger, thanks for coming up and visiting with us. AgriGold Feeding Farmers Week number 4 winner. Tell us a little bit about the operation and how things got started here.
Lois and I moved here in 1973. I was working at General Motors at the time, worked there 6 years till I could build up enough to start farming on my own. And since then, the boys have come into the operation as they started out as young and helping here on the farm. And then we have another son and a daughter, Laura. And we've been very blessed here. It's grown and enough to incorporate the sons into the operation. We have separate operations. Everybody has their own farms, but it's been very good for us to be in agriculture. I can't think of a better occupation. I always said I ate 3 meals a day with my kids in the summer, and not too many people can say that. And so it's been very good. We're very blessed.
As you look at the operation, primarily grain?
Corn, soybeans, a little bit of wheat once in a while, just for maybe the tiling. We do a lot of tiling, like every 25 feet. For tiling, we do that once in a while, or to plant alfalfa for the large dairy that we work with.
And when we have our program today, how many are we expecting for lunch?
About 35. They're about done cutting wheat, and it's a nice day. Too windy to spray.
Yeah, we'll keep them here. We've had challenges sometimes getting people to show up. Let's go over to Roger now. In addition to the farm, you've got your own farm, but you also run an ag business out of that. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I worked at a factory job as well as farming, and then this large Dutch dairy came into the area, and supplied land for them to put manure on, and it was always tough to get someone here in a timely fashion. So went out and bought the equipment, and that was my way of getting out of the factory and being able to farm full time. So I have a drag line system and do anywhere from 20 to 40 million gallon a year of manure.
And in this area, obviously there's challenges. Lake Erie watershed's not that far. I mean, you're in it, but the lake's not that far away. What kind of restrictions and what kind of challenges do you have as it relates to that?
Yeah, it's a huge thing in this area. A lot of setbacks, a lot of filter strips and so forth have been added, water control structures, various things like that. You got a lot of people watching you now. I mean, everybody's informed, everybody in town. So yeah, it's a big thing.
How's technology help you do what you're doing?
I've got mapping software in the tractor. Everything's in there. Tell how many gallons, where it was put on, and so forth. So yeah, you could almost variable rate it if you like by speeding up and slowing down.
Are you putting the manure on the soil or in the soil?
I bought a different applicator last fall, and I'm injecting it in the ground now, just a couple inches in. You don't want it deeply injected because then it's real close to the tile, and then you got issues going to the ditch. So this just has a colder, makes a little path in the soil, and then shoots it down in there and covers it up, and yeah, it's worked out very well.
All right, let's go over and check with Mike now. And Mike, as you take a look at the operation, you've got your own operation, but everybody kind of works together and helps to get things done, primarily grain for you. But at the same time, all these restrictions and things as it relates, is it hard to work fields in and around all the filter strips and so on?
No, not really hard. It's just something more you got to manage, and it's the right thing to be doing. You know, we got probably 75 acres of filter strips, 25 water control structures, setbacks, on everything. With all this manure we got coming on, it's the right thing to do. And all fertilizers variable rate, so we're trying to put the right product or at the right rate in the right spot. So just try to do our part.
And this spring, getting the right seed in the right field under the right conditions was a real issue. How wet was it this spring?
May, we had roughly 4.5 inches of rain in May right here. Some of our farms had quite a bit more than that, but right here at the home farm, about 4.5 inches, 5.5 in June. And it was just wet all the time, and you was always just under the gun, real close to being able to get started. And you maybe would, but short windows. But we was able to get her done, finished up like the May 25th to the 30th, bulk of the crops went in.
And how does that fit compared to what's normal for you?
It's a couple weeks maybe later than normal, but about every year we finish up towards the end of May, but we usually have a little more going in the front part of May than we did this year. We only planted for a day and a half, May 1st and 2nd, and then we had most of the May off till the end. But usually the first part of May, sometimes we're started the end of April, but not too bad really, and overall crops look pretty good. We got good stands.
And your kids like to help out?
Yeah, kids love to help. They're around all the time, every day.
Let's bring Roger back in here for a second. Roger, I got a follow-up question for you. I know you've served on a lot of committees and board and things, and when it comes to Saltwater Board, has everybody in the family here served on the board now?
Mike was on the board at one time. Roger's on the board now. We've always been trying to be community active. I was very heavily involved in the Young Farmers, started that group. My kids are in that now. I've been in a lot of committees, and I'm on back on the school board. I was on there for 19 years. I'm back on now. But anyhow, always be a giver, not a taker. We've got enough of them today. But so yeah, we like to be very community involved here in our families, and 4-H and FFA is very big in our family. Always has been.
There you go. The latest from the Zeedyk family and Zeedyk Farms. I've been visiting with Roger, and Mike. And again, we're just outside of Hicksville, which is only a couple miles from Indiana, and not far north is that state up north. Thanks to AgriGold, I'm Dale Menyo. It's week number 4 of Feeding Farmers.